Hi, it's David from Life with Parkinson's. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you'll consider subscribing. For everybody else, thank you for coming back and watching another episode. Right, today we're going to talk about why I decided to give up the car, and we're going to get into the reasons surrounding that, and also just talk about driving in general with Parkinson's, because I think it's based on my experience anyhow. I think it's all something we're going to face eventually. It's like, should I be driving now? We'll talk about some of those issues and some of those questions that have been circulating in my mind the last 6 to 8 months. And yeah, I'm excited. Let's get to it. Woo! I'll talk about the biggest issue first because that's probably the most important one. It's when I'm driving and I'm going off. When you're going off and you're driving and it's bumper to bumper traffic, what can you do or what do you do? You pull over to the side of the road if you're stuck on a bridge, or if you're stuck on a busy freeway and there's really no shoulder, do you pull over and park there? Do you just keep going and just get home as fast as possible? Because you know that if you pull over to the side of the road, the off is probably going to get worse before it gets better. And that's what I've been doing. I just go home as soon as possible. Literally almost crawl through the front door. And then my wife usually helps takes my shoes off or something. And I know those are times I probably shouldn't have been driving, but I was commuting to work once a week, and that's not happening anymore. But so thankfully, I do have a lot more spare time than I used to. But I was really getting worried about hurting myself, hurting someone else, or just causing some property damage. Fender bender situation. I just feel that even though I was going off, I knew I shouldn't be driving. So there was a certain sense of responsibility. Like, I'm responsible for my actions, right? If I cause an accident or I cause some sort of situation, I am responsible. And I just didn't want to try and go to sleep at night with that on my shoulders or with that on my chest or with that in the back of my mind. Just, when the voices start going, the shame spiral, I call it. It's really hard to go to sleep when that's happening. And I just didn't want to face that. I just didn't want to have that burden of responsibility, especially when I knew when I was off, I shouldn't be driving. And for me, anyhow, it all started as a process. Like, first it was, oh, I'm not going to drive in the dark because I can't see, or I'm not going to take this long trip because I know it's too much for me, or I'm not going to drive in a snowstorm, or if it's raining too hard. So it's all been a gradual. It's all been a grad. Just kick the camera. It's all been a gradual progression to that point. It's like, okay, here we go. We're taking the car in. Yeah, for me, it didn't really come out of the blue. The last time I drove home, it's just there's been so many accidents at the time where I was driving home. One day it took almost 2 hours, and I'm like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm seriously done. It was something that's just been developing, and it's something we talked about when I got Parkinson's at the beginning. That one dementia specialist I keep talking about, he told me, oh, you're probably going to have to look at giving up driving in the next few years. You might want to get ready for that. This whole situation of not having a car around is still new to me, and I'm still getting used to it. But when those voices start going in the head, it's like, should I have done this? Should I not have done this? Oh, and there's a whole new set of anxiety symptoms that have resulted from this. Because I've been talking about, oh, I'll take the bus, I'll take a taxi, maybe an Uber. Ooh, Uber. If I take the bus, am I going to become someone else's burden on the bus ride? I'm thinking, okay, if I get to my destination, am I going to tire myself out? So on the ride home, am I going to be so off that I'm going to have trouble getting off the bus and then walking home? Right? All these doubts and stuff come up For one thing that seemed to be a positive decision in the beginning, all of a sudden all these doubts and burdens come up after. It's like, well, should I just throw in the towel now on everything I enjoy? It's funny how the brain works. It always moves towards the most negative thing possible. It never moves towards like, oh, what could happen if everything goes right? That would be so nice if the mind worked that way. It's just when you take that big step of giving up your car, right? It's your independence, it's your freedom to go somewhere, right? We all like to think about, oh, let's take a road trip, right? Everybody loves a road trip. Well, maybe not everybody, but some of the things that were getting hard were to like take my foot from the gas pedal to the brake. Right? It always wouldn't want to make the full switch from one or the other. Sometimes it would get stuck in between the two and I'd be hitting the gas and the brake at the same time. If you're trying to stop the car and you push the gas and the brake at the same time, it doesn't work. It becomes two equal opposite opposing forces and neither of them win. Bumper to bumper traffic was probably the hardest situation. It's just like keeping track of all those slow moving objects, and they're here all around you. That was very difficult, and that drained me really quickly. It wasn't really looking left to right because I work on that every day. If I started to go off, I would bunch up and get really tense. One time I was driving to work and I wouldn't say I had a nervous breakdown, but I was just having a lot of anxiety and the traffic was going slow. It was just a bad morning and I didn't wake up feeling that well. And I'm like, I don't want to drive to work today. And then I came on after breakfast. I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to be okay. And then the right hand started to come up. So I had to pull into a parking lot. I took a shot of Movapo. It did not work at all. The anxiety was so bad. That was the first time the Movapo has been defeated by the anxiety. So I had to call my boss. He came and picked me up. Oh, it was just a bad morning. That was the day I knew I had to do something. And then 2 weeks later, yeah, the car was sold. I know you guys understand this. It's just so frustrating to fight against this illness and this disease because you fight so hard and it just seems the Parkinson's always wins in the end, right? It's a never ending battle of just giving ground. It's like a slow retreat. I've fought so hard and so long to keep my independence. I know I'm not giving up my independence. I can still go out and I can still go places and do things. I just got to take a taxi or something else. It's probably cheaper in the end anyhow, but it's just so frustrating to give up ground every now and then, even though we don't want to. Even like, I'm going to hold on to this little shred, whatever it is, and then Parkinson's just stomps all over it. It's just so frustrating and so hard. I just want to keep a positive mental attitude all the time, and when you get beaten down like that, it just makes me so angry and so frustrated. And I look at myself in the camera now, and it's like, that guy looks okay, right? He looks pretty good. He's happy. He's smiling. But I don't really see the Parkinson's, but obviously I know it's there. But I look at myself in the camera, and I don't look so bad, but sometimes I feel really, really bad inside. I just don't want to give in sometimes, and this is one of those situations I know I have to. And I feel good for doing that. It's just I don't want to give things away all the time. Sometimes I just feel it's like I've given so much away. It's time to get something back. And I don't think I'm being selfish there. I think you guys know what I'm talking about, right? You give up so many things in your life. It's like, for once, could someone just put one thing back for a little while? Just once? Okay. Thank you for taking this journey together. Thank you so much for watching and supporting this channel. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Have a good day. Goodbye, and thank you.